Alright, we got a special one for you guys. I will be honest, I lost $300. Actually, it's stinging more and more as Ethereum's rising. Here is the story of how I lost a fair amount of Ethereum in the silliest way possible, and what you can learn from it, but you probably won't learn much because you wouldn't get into such a situation unless, well, actually, never say never. My name is Mike Workubero. Welcome to the channel. This is one of those mistakes that you just, like, I don't even understand how I did this. But anyways, let's go. Story time. Are you ready for this? So, Ethereum currently, at the current moment, is $332, and it's kind of going up. It could hit around 400. It did peak, I think I remember, around 390 or 380. This was months back, and this was a situation when I first started trading crypto this year, because I took a break. Some people are asking, well, okay, so you've been trading crypto since 2013, or 2014, or whatever it was, and why don't you have like 100K right now? So someone actually asked that, why don't you have 100K right now? Like, I spent a lot of money, which actually I made multiple videos about that on my other channel. Those were one of my biggest regrets in life. I just burned a bunch of money, and I had no stable source of income at the time. Like, it's not that bad to go through money and just spend it and go like, Versace, woo! But you need to be making money, and if you just get a bunch of money because you sold something, then Versace depreciates in value, just like Maserati, just like whatever else out there. You know, buy yourself a watch or painting, at least have like something. It's still gonna depreciate in value, but yeah, designer. Anyways, so I made some silly decisions. I mean, you know, just kidding around, and yeah, I took a break. I got back into crypto this year, and of course I was, you know, looking at things between that time frame, and I was doing marketing. I ran my own company. I was working on other projects and just earning from here and there. I worked as a freelancer. I had my own company. I worked for other companies as a social media director and just a bunch of stuff, freelancing, everything you can think of. And with cryptocurrency trading, I like it. You can be your own boss, and you know, Ethereum and Ripple were rising at the time, so I was like, let's kind of invest in it. I see my friends are making some money, and we got fully back into it. And you know, we had a decent chunk of change laying around, right? And I decided, you know what, this was one of the first moments where I realized, like, Poloniex was always slow, it was always glitching, but I was like, there's gotta be something here to this that's just, I don't understand why people are using this so often. I have a decent amount. This is a lot of money to me. Maybe it's not a lot of money to them because they got millions and millions of dollars that they're dealing with every single day. But to me, it's a lot of money. So I'm afraid I don't want to keep my Ethereum on Poloniex. No, because what if it's another Mt. Gox or Cryptsy or whatever, you know? And I was really afraid of that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to send Ethereum from Poloniex to my own wallet. But I was confused because I knew how Bitcoin wallets worked. I never dealt with Ethereum. This was the first time I ever purchased Ethereum and had it. And you know, outside of keeping it in Poloniex, and there was one other exchange account, but mainly Poloniex, I didn't actually have a wallet for Ethereum. And this is the interesting one, because instead of going to the wallet that everybody uses, the normal one, I decided, you know what, let's not do this one, because, like, I don't know, it was a total hipster thing to do or whatever, but I decided to use, okay, here's what happened. I looked up Ethereum wallets. I was kind of doing my own research. Always be researching, kids. And I found something called Zeth, Xeth. I was like, oh, this sounds pretty cool. Nice name, right, as a marketer. And I saw this one website, right, a review forum, whatever, post, that it was super secure, it was better than Mycelium and all this. Not Mycelium. Like, Mycelium is a wallet, but I meant Mist. Mist, there we go, that's the other M one. So I saw that it was more secure than Mist. I was like, okay, cool, let's go with this one. Let's download it. Looks nice. I downloaded it. I have a MacBook operating system because, well, a Mac operating system, Sierra Leone, and this is my first Mac ever. I've had multiple PCs in the past. I've also experimented with Linux. I'm not a big fan of Linux. And for some of you who are like, well, why are you using Apple? It's just for fun. I don't really fully like it. Obviously, there's some drawbacks to it. For example, this, where I downloaded it and I found out I was the only user of Mac for this particular wallet. Yeah, I spoke with the developer and I was like the only user on MacBook at the time. And he developed it on a different operating system version than I had, just entirely different. I forgot what it was, like Mac OS X Lion, or I don't know the weird stuff, the names they come up with. I don't know. I'm trying to come up with it, but whatever came before Sierra Leone. And he had one of those like smaller Mac computers that he just kind of came up with it as he went. But I was the first person he encountered who was using Sierra Leone and downloaded Zeeth. And I decided, you know what, I had like $4,000 or $5,000 worth of Ethereum at the time. And I was like, this would be a very silly thing to send all my Ethereum to this wallet. So, and mind you, I made the wallet. I don't remember any passwords. I don't remember making any passwords, nothing. And if I would have made a password, I would have come up with something that, you know, is kind of a little bit trickier, but something that there's these certain words and numbers that I always think about. And sometimes I used to reuse passwords in the past. I learned my lesson. Now I do like computer generated 32 keyword. It's super annoying. It really is. It frustrates you beyond belief sometimes, especially when you have to type it in. It's just like, oh my goodness. But it works. It keeps me sleeping safe at night, so I'll keep doing it. Anyways, so this was back when, you know, I reused some passwords, and I had certain keywords and numbers in my mind. So it was like, okay, if I would have made a password, I would have probably had something to do with that. And, yeah, I don't remember making a password at all. Nope. So what happens next is I decide at the time that, you know what, let's send less than 1 Ethereum. And at that time, I decided to send just a little, like 0.91 Ethereum, which was worth like 88, 89 bucks at that time. 0.9 Ethereum. And yeah, so I sent it over, gets into my wallet, but there's some problems with syncing. And I understand how this works, synchronization. Okay, it just needs to wait because it's there on the blockchain, but this wallet needs to update. Alright, let's see where it's at. Oh, this is interesting. So I remember it was like on a block 2,600,000 something. It was super close to 2.7 million, okay? And this wallet was at like, I don't know what it was, 300,000. And it was taking forever to sync. Literally. Like, at this rate, it was going to take weeks. And the price of Ethereum kept rising up. So, you know, I left it overnight. Nothing really happened. The next morning I was like, didn't speed up. Okay, so let's look on Reddit. Turns out not a lot of people use this Zeeth. There was a couple users, but no one really had problems with it. And I was the only person that was never able to sync it. As in, like, the wallet worked the first and only time I ever used it, and I sent immediately from Coinbase to Zeeth just to test it out, right? And it worked. Like, I had notifications that it was there, but it needed to, like, update. And I was like, oh, my goodness. So while updating it, that's when the problems started arising. I realized this is going to take forever. And I realized that while it was taking forever to sync, it was also super glitchy. Like, certain parts of it stopped working for some reason. I was like, wait, what? And then I realized that it's taking up a lot of my computer space, and I have only 250 megabytes in this, or 256, or whatever it is. It's a solid state drive because they're faster, yay! Anyways, so I don't have a lot of space. I also go through a bunch of space because of high definition videos. So sometimes videos can be a couple gigabytes, and if you have multiple of that and you're rendering and you have a lot of project files, anyways, I didn't have a lot of space, and I realized, wow, this is going to take up a lot of computer space, and also the computer is just like bzzz. This is a brand new computer, mind you, like literally a month old into downloading this program, and well, keeping the computer, and it is running like crazy with no Photoshop, no Final Cut, nothing running in the background, just Zeeth itself. Bzzz. I was like, oh shoot, this is I'm in a little bit of a pickle here. I obviously am not sending my $4,000 worth of Ethereum into this wallet. I'm going to keep it in Poloniex, or actually I think I decided to send it later to Coinbase, because I was like, oh, it's going to be safer in Coinbase. Later I learned my lesson that, well, I didn't really, nothing happened to it, but I started doing more research into Coinbase, how Coinbase, it doesn't matter, like they can still keep your coins, and it's not fully yours because you don't have the private keys. So I started looking into offline ledger wallets. But anyways, this was, you know, still back in the early days of this year. I think this was around March time, or whenever it was. And yeah, I was trying to solve this problem. So I started posting on Reddit, started posting on Twitter, started posting on social media, wherever I could, right? And nobody had this problem. There wasn't a big community behind it. Like, nobody had ever heard about this. I started posting in the subreddits for Ethereum, for Miss, for, you know, just random wallets, and people were like, well, why do you use Miss? I was like, listen. Listen. I also had to have, like, I had to open up Terminal, and some people were telling me to input in some code and let it update. I was like, no, I don't want to be dealing with Terminal. I don't like code. I understand it a little bit, but I don't know it, so it's like, I really don't prefer that. And at the end, I was like, you know what? Let's just contact the developer. So we did. We found out the developer on GitHub. And actually very nice, friendly fellow. I didn't get a response for the first 2 days or whatever. I was kind of worried. I was like, is he going to respond? Is the one and only person who can actually fully help me with this going to respond? He did. And it took him a little bit, but finally, you know, we were exchanging back and forth emails. And we realized that, because he kept updating, he kept working hard. And by like the 4th or 5th update, he was like, what is going on here? Because it shouldn't be syncing that slow where it's going to take weeks for it to sync. And all the meanwhile, Ethereum's rising up. I wanted to sell when, you know, the $89 turned into $120. Little did I know it was going to turn into like $300. Listen, by the way, if anybody wants to buy my key, or you want to brute force it, I'll sell it for like $1. Like, I don't care. I'm not going to spend my time brute forcing it. Whatever. So yeah, you can message me. There's that. But yeah, I eventually got the Skype of the developer, and we started chatting, and we realized, yeah, by like the 5th update, that there's a lot more problems here than we originally thought. And the developer realized then that, oh, you have a completely different version of OS than I worked with, so I need to update my own thing, and you're like the only Mac user I've ever had, and yeah, this is going to be tricky. So 2 weeks later, and mind you, we're exchanging I don't think it was every single day, but I kept checking in for updates, and he was super responsive, great feller. The guy behind Zeeth, you know, maybe it wasn't the best choice I've ever made in my entire life, but hey, I give you props. After 2 weeks, and I probably like the 10th version that I installed, I updated, I threw in some code. He was like, yeah, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do that. So we just went through everything, okay? We went through everything. Finally it started working. Because, oh yeah, I totally forgot to mention this. So apart from slow synchronization and the fact that the program started glitching, it eventually got to a point where, for some reason, it just fully stopped working. There was like these error reports where I couldn't even log in. I was like, oh, this is great. This is fantastic. Wow. Yeah, so I was really upset about that I couldn't even log in. It was just like blinking and it got different errors each time, right? every time he would update me, there would be a different error, and I'd be like, oh, this is never ending. Eventually, we fixed all the errors, and synchronization started back up again. It was a little bit faster. Still took forever. I have fast internet. I have like 250 megabytes. That's what they promise. Really, it's like 200. It'll always be like that. I had a new computer. I get it. It's a MacBook, but it's overpriced. But it's still good. Like for what it is, the computer parts. A new computer and fast Wi-Fi. What else could? And like no processes running in the background, right? What else could this program want? Nope. Still took a couple more days for everything to sync back up. This is like 3.5 weeks after I originally wanted to just take out the Ethereum. Finally syncs up. I remember counting down those last 100,000 blocks. I was like, yes, this is when I'm gonna get like my $200, because eventually, like, I think it rose up to 200 or 250. And then you know what happened? It did sync up. It synchronized. Everything was beautiful. I log in. Oh, password. I never made a password. Contact the developer. He's like, no, you did make a password. There's no way. It's absolutely impossible to have a wallet without a password. I tried everything for multiple days. I tried whatever I could think of, just, misspellings, and I was thinking about brute force. I tried also contacting people who can do brute force and who could help me out with this. They said it was too small of an amount. At this point, it got to somewhere where it was like $300 worth. They were like, yeah, there's people we're dealing with who like lost way more. It sucks to be them, but I went through a lot, and here I am without access to my 0.9 Ethereum. But yeah, that's my story. So what did we learn from this story, kids? Always double check where you're sending your money to. Always double check whether there's a password, and if there is, make sure that it's a good computer generated password that you write down somewhere in person and on your computer. Make sure it's an encrypted computer and like an encrypted email, encrypted files, depends on how paranoid you are, but survival of the paranoid. And yeah, don't make silly mistakes. Go with something that works. Don't try and take a shortcut because it's more secure, it looks nice or whatever. And nothing bad against Thief, but it was my mistake. I forgot my password. It was just funny how it took 3 weeks. It took 3 weeks to get to a point where I realized, oh, I went through so much trouble because the program wouldn't work. And I don't have it, and it hurts. It hurts. Yeah, at this point, it's like $300, $300 just straight out the window. But whatever, Hey, could have been. Yeah, that 4,000 could have like turned into 10K if that would have happened. Oh. Anyways, we all make mistakes. I was kind of embarrassed making this video. I'm gonna head to sleep because I am tired. Maybe you've noticed. But my name is Mike. Thank you so much for watching this video. I wish you guys all the best. Hopefully you will have a fantastic rest of your day. And don't try and repeat what I did, because honestly, I'm a little embarrassed. Like, gosh, it was such a rookie mistake. Such a rookie mistake. And yet, then again, there are those people who have lost millions of dollars because they sent Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever it was to the wrong address. And I just reminded myself of another rookie mistake. It's not as bad as this one, although that one dealt with $7,000. I will leave that for another time. Anyways, my name is Mike. Hopefully you guys have no, I already said that. Bye.